Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Zachary Harding, entrepreneur, investor, and a music industry veteran. He's here to share his story with us and, just to tell us about this awesome life, because it always is. Zachary, you gave us a rundown of where you're from here, Kingston, Jamaica. A lot of people would say, wow, for real? But yes, he's a Kingstonian and went to, was it Priory, you said?
Yes.
And, of course, the great Campion College. After that, you went overseas to study, Zachary?
Yeah, so I went to Ashbury College, which is in Ottawa, Canada, and then came back to Jamaica, went to UWI, started law school, hated it, and left.
Right.
And the rest is history.
That was a big decision for you at the time. What was it?
Massive decision. My dad is a lawyer, and at the time, it was sort of everybody was encouraging me over a long period of time. Yeah, law is your thing, law and politics, And went there with good intention, but just realized that there was a certain lack of creativity in it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed it, but I said to myself, I don't know that I could be doing this for the rest of my life. And I remember Delroy Chuck was one of my lecturers. In the first class that I had, he came in and he said, if anybody is here to do law because they think that lawyers make a lot of money, now is a good time to leave. I didn't leave that day, but I left at the end of the year.
You were like, okay, noted. You mentioned the word creative. And I'm learning here that in your earlier years, you learned music. You had a love for music. Tell me about that, the introduction to music.
Both my brother and myself went to Jamaica School of Music, which is now Edna Manley.
For the visual and
performing art. From a young age. So we did theory of music up to maybe grade 6 level. Jeremy's a better musician than I am, but we both went to music school. He played the flute, piano, guitar. I played drums, traps, steel pan, and trumpet. And we both sang in the choir.
Got that.
So we had that early exposure to the rudiments of music itself.
Yeah.
And I think that set a foundation for both of us in different ways. I mean, my brother is really the musical legend. I am by no means any sort of musical legend. But, as one of the most renowned producers out of Jamaica, having produced many, many, many hit songs, he's an actual musician and producer. I just got interested in it from a DJing perspective because when I left university, I had to make some money, so I decided to start doing promotion. And I'd have parties, and then a lot of the times I never really loved how the DJs played. So I said, you know what, I want to learn how to DJ, so maybe I can just play at my own parties.
Yeah.
And my brother was also a DJ, and so I learned from him and just got interested in DJing and later on sound system business after that. I formed a sound system with Richie West. And
Syndicate Disco, isn't it?
Syndicate Disco.
93 about them times there?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you still play today. You're known as the Dancehall CEO. I don't know who coined that phrase exactly.
I'm not sure. I think it was Janelle Brown from my office, actually. She gave me that name.
Right. So that is interesting to me that you clearly have a creative side that was inspired very early. And your brother and you were on this creative journey throughout this time. And even though you're an academic, that creativity and the creative side of you kept knocking at you so much so that you decided to say yes. You said, let me go and learn how to DJ and play.
Yeah. That
time when you were playing and doing your whole DJ bit, were you on it solely? Were you so serious that people recognize that, Zachary's taking this thing on real seriously?
Yeah, I was on it pretty seriously. I had a love for dancehall music in particular.
Yeah.
So to be specific. So yes, I love music generally. I loved hip hop. I used to break dance as a kid, etc. But there was something about dancehall that really made a big difference for me. And, full transparency, I guess, growing up as an uptown youth, relatively sheltered, not exposed to certain things, I didn't see the full picture of Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then once I started to get involved in music, I started to see more of Jamaica. And then also in playing football, because I played Major League Football. So that carried me into communities that I would have otherwise not really had any need or reason to go.
Right.
And so playing sound system in communities, playing football in communities, and just realized that that's where my passion really lay. It was in the energy of real Jamaica, real Jamaican people. And from there, I said, I have to be involved in this. This brings me great joy.
Yeah.
This makes me really happy. My brother was away. He went to McGill University, and then he went to Trebas Institute of Recording Arts. So he also left. He was doing chemical engineering or something like that.
Right.
Very smart guy. Maths brains at that too. And he went and he studied production at the Trebas Institute of Recording Arts in Montreal. And DJed for a while, was ready to come back to Jamaica. That time I was in Jamaica, I was in the streets up and down with all the artists and stuff. And I said, let's do something together. Let's build something together. I said, what do you have in mind? So I start a label. You're the producer. I'm in the streets. I know people. I'm the marketer. I'm the promotions guy.
Right.
So he came back to Jamaica, built a studio at 8 Jackson Road. And he was the first person to have studied production that was computer based. And so we set up the studio. It was called Hard Sound Studio, as in Harding Sound, but also because of hard disk. It's the first recording studio in the Caribbean to record straight to hard drive. Right? Everything was reel to reel before that.
Right.
So I remember when we had the studio, people would come there and read the voice tunes and be like, yo, where the tape there? Like, no, there's not. It's just a computer. And they're looking at the box. I'm like, my voice is going into that box? Well, how that work? I don't understand.
I'll never carry it with me.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like confused.
Right.
So from there now we started the label. And I remember he said, think of a name. I'm flying in, just think of a name for the label. Harding Brothers, Too Hard Records.
Too Hard Records, yes.
I was like, that's it, Too Hard Records.
That's it.
So that's how the label was formed. And I mean, we went
hardcore.
You
did good. You did really, really, I mean, Sim Simmer, big song. I mean, come on. I mentioned Sim Simmer. Everybody knows that song. In fact, it's one of those recognizable songs globally where you can use and say Sim Simmer and people can finish the line for you.
Sim Simmer challenge.
I mean, wow. I mean, it's so many great productions. And then, of course, we're talking about Sean Paul.
That's right.
Tell me about that. That encounter with Sean Paul. You were already in the streets with the DJs.
I was in the streets. I knew Sean Paul just as a brethren. He went to Olmos and we had similar friends. And he was doing this thing at the time, singing, kind of DJing.
Sing Jay, they call it.
Sing Jane. And he'll tell you, a lot of people are really hating on him and giving him a rough time. I was DJing at this restaurant called Raphael's one time, and he went there and he was singing, and people were like, this youth need to go back to UTech and finish up him hospitality degree, dog. This DJ, Sing J thing. I don't know. And he got that for a while. Plus the whole kind of...
He did get an uptown
downtown
yes.
type of thing. Right? Big fight. But for me, I saw something massive. I saw a star in Sean right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to introduce to my brother Jeremy as a recording studio. So that's really how the link was made. It was me being in the streets DJing. I also threw parties, and one of the first concerts or parties that Sean ever performed at was something that I had with Kimani Robinson called Groove in the Hills. And so it was a party with a concert within the party, and that was one of the first showcases and exposures. I mean, we also had Rick and Lace. It was one of their first shows. Wayne Marshall, Left Side and Esco, like quite a few people, because we were just looking for new talent at the time.
Yeah.
Don Youth, of course, Java and Rodney. So we did that, and then that's how Baby Girl got voiced, because we would voice dub plates at the studio. So everybody would come up there, Renaissance, Soul Love, Travelers, Afri, King, everybody would come up there and voice dub plates, because it was like this cool uptown studio at 8 Jackson Road. And then Jeremy would have the toughest beats built, and then we'd just be like, yo, Johnny, what bad rhythm still, you want to give us a tune? And you just say, yo, let me listen. Yeah, man. And that's how we got the artist a voice. So that led to Playground Rhythm, to a Seminole Rhythm. I mean, that's, Sim Simmer,
Anthems,
Baby Girl,
Anthems, yes.
Nike Air, whole heap of those songs. We had Fearless Rhythm, we have Log On, Elephant Man.
Crazy.
So quite a few hits that came out of that people don't even really realize that it was all out of the same camp. I say, wait, what? Right. I didn't really know about that.
Until the story is told, a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. So
and those were hard-hitting songs that rock dancehall.
Exactly. They were dancehall songs, but they were produced by Jeremy Harding, because he had a different air. He had been trained differently. He was a musician. He was trained in production, in digital production. And so if you listen to the beats up to now, they all sound unique. They don't sound like the other stuff. So we started to get a lot of respect for that. And then I was like the guy in the street. So Jeremy doesn't go anywhere, right? So we'd voice the tunes and I would go down to Arrows, cut them on dub plate. He doesn't even know what that
No, no, a clue, right?
acetate, press it. Anyway. Then I would go in the streets and I'd play the dubs. And then I'd also hand out the records, like the long time promo guy, like travel to Miami, distribution guy, like go to the radio stations, do the radio interviews, hand out the actual promo records, and then they would listen to the record and they'd be like, "Oh wow, this is dope, man! 2 hard records. This kid here, like Sean Henriquez, Sean Paul, he sounds pretty good. Like we'd love to book him for a show." And then they'd call. Well, it was Jeremy's house, which was the studio.
That's the office of the studio.
Yeah, that's the label,
right? And
I'd be like, "Hey man, we see this kid Sean Paul. Like we'd like to book him." And Jeremy would be like, yeah, just send like a plane ticket and $5 bills. And I'd be like, all right, cool. And then he would go on, Sean would go on, then they'd call again and Jeremy would be like, yeah, send like $5,000 and like 2 business class tickets. I just went from there.
We have a break coming up, but I wanted to talk to you about what you learned from that experience, because clearly while Jeremy focused on the music production, what you described to me was a man who was learning and understanding the business that came with the music. And so I want to talk to you about what you learned at the time about the business of music and how that has impacted, how you went about doing business going forward, because you must have gained a lot from that experience on the ground and what you did with it. It's just phenomenal. So let's take a quick break. Speaking with entrepreneur, investor, and music industry veteran, Zachary Harding. And wow, what an amazing story. Soon come back, more to come. Don't.
This is 94.5 FM.
Yeah! Well, this is Beanie Man representing for Zachary Harding. Now, this rhythm was produced Jeremy at 8 Jackson Road. I know in the bag of talking. Some boy don't understand what this is music. Don't understand? Feel it. Zachary. So. Zachary. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, na. And it's all about Romy. Big fat sister, now yow me. 2 of them claim say them know me. And them argument, show me.
Unmistakable voice thereof of the king of Beanie Man. Yeah, I still say king. I still say King Beanie Man. Yeah. So what? Come at me for that. Zachary Harding is in studio with me, and the relationship with all these top DJs still amazing, Zachary. Still, when I see them in the streets, those memories rush by, and it's a good vibes.
Yeah, man, always.
You were talking to us about just the business, learning the business of music, and how it came at you so fast because of just how Sean Paul was exploding at the time, very early part of his career. That journey must have been very exciting, but you clearly learned a lot at the time.
Music is a product, so when you start to look at it as a product with a marketplace, you're trying to sell more product to the marketplace, you have to position it in that light. So sometimes people just take it as, boy, it's just a vibe, That's cool. If you want to just play a guitar and sing a song for a vibe, awesome. But if you're to make a living out of it, then you have to approach it with a professionalism, just like any other business.
Yes.
And so we saw that there was a marketplace for a particular type and style of dancehall that was radio friendly. We saw that there was a marketplace for artists like Sean Paul who could cross over and who had global appeal and whose work ethic was at a level of professionalism that you could say, yeah, this is a product that we can support and push and drive. Bank on. And Jeremy managed him. I managed him initially, then Jeremy managed him and produced his first 3 albums and took him over 15 years, won a Grammy, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. But once you start to think of it like a business, it changes everything. And even DJing. So you talk about the correlation between what I'd have learned in business, coming out of music, and then even with DJing.
Yes.
So I did an interview once, and a journalist asked me, was seen at the time as like a marketing guy. There were quite a few brands that I was responsible
coming
for.
There.
And they asked me, like, Barbara Ellington is who it was that day. And she said, Zachary, what is it with you and the marketing and the products and just seems like everything that you touch just turns to gold. I don't know. It just becomes popular and you just seem to be able to read the marketplace. And I never gave it much thought. She was like, you don't have a degree. You don't have a degree in marketing. So what's the secret sauce? I said, Barbara, you know something? It's from being a DJ. She was like, what? From being a DJ? I was just thinking about it on the fly. We're on the plane together. And I said, yeah, because being a DJ, you have to read an audience, which is a target market.
Yes.
To deliver a product, which is a song, to get some sort of buy-in reaction or response,
Yes.
which is singing, dancing, or busting a gunshot.
Correct.
Right? So I didn't realize it, but across the years, I've been reading marketplaces to try to figure out what is the sound that they needed and what could I deliver in real time to get a reaction out of them. And then all I did was really apply that to brands and companies that I was working with.
And those brands include Smirnoff, Ocean Spray, Water, ATL, major brands in Jamaica, major campaigns that you were involved with. When did that confidence happen? When did that? When did these major companies start looking at Zachary Harding as the man to change the trajectory of these brands and to make them bigger here in Jamaica?
I started out in advertising, so I learned everything about advertising and communication marketing from the ground up. Right? I was an assistant to Sue Fox at Marketing Counselors, and I said, lad, this is like a career. You can work in a company that is creating, commercials and putting out cool stuff and doing promotions. And so having gone through that, I got to a point where I said, you know something, I want to now be on the brand side where I'm giving the instructions to the agency of my vision of what I think needs to happen with the brands. And so going through that process, I was also still a promoter at the time. And I really got my break because I had an event called Club Liquid, and we reached out to Red Stripe, Diageo, and got Smirnoff to be a sponsor and launched the event with Smirnoff Ice. And we were selling cases and cases of Smirnoff Ice. And the brand manager at the time, when he came to me one night after the event, and he said, Zachary, you want my job?
What?
I said, no, bro, I'm good. I'm just trying to be helpful.
Some people just come and offer up them job to you. That's like that.
I was like, I'm just trying to be helpful. Like, no, like, I don't mean it. No, he was like, no, do you actually want my job? It's like, because whatever you're doing, I can't do it. Right. And it's working and I don't even understand it. And I started with the whole, well, boy, I don't have a degree. I don't have a degree in marketing. How am I going to go and work at a big Diageo international company? He said, no, I'll set the interview. You just go. That's your one job. I went and I did some psychometric evaluation. Apparently, I guess I did okay and got the job. And then I learned now the real rudiments of marketing from working at Diageo. They had a particular school, a whole system of marketing called the Diageo way of brand building. And that was really my MBA in marketing.
Excellent. It's something happens when you're willing to challenge yourself and not to stay in just the box that not only you see yourself in, but sometimes what people see. When you challenge yourself and open up yourself to learning, amazing things can happen. And that's a good example of that. In fact, you moved from different areas. You talk about sales and marketing a while ago, but then there is, of course, the investment side that we know, like your name is associated with, that as well, doing so well in investment. When did that start? When did you say, what, the investment journey is something I'm going to take as well?
So I'm going to leave out any names to protect the innocent.
Sure.
I once worked at a company, and 1 week before Christmas, I was asked to fire 20 people. And it wasn't my plan. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't even agree with it strategically. And I was told, this is what you have to do now as the big boss. So I did it, cried tears with the first 10 people that came into the office. They were like, Zachary, you must be joking. Like, am I being punked? Like, I don't understand. I said, I had a script and I stuck to the script. Second 10, I did it no problem. Zero emotion. I went home and my wife, Tamara, looked at me and said, what happened? Because I couldn't tell her I was under secrecy. Couldn't say anything. She said, what happened to you? She said, you look like you've lost your soul. And that really hit me hard. And at that point, I said, you know something? I'm not going to be that guy when I am 50 years old on the other side of that desk for some young Akeem to be coming and telling me, sorry, but today is your last day. I said, I now need to move from just being an employee, helping companies to grow, helping brands to grow, helping them to make a lot more money.
Right.
but I was still at that same salaried position. I said, no, I want to be on the ownership side. So I need to now learn and understand about raising money, about the structuring of deals, and so how I can have an equity stake in anything that I'm putting that creativity into to help it to grow.
That makes a lot of sense. And so you decided to move from being the person who is helping everybody to the person who is helping yourself, to make sure that you're not an employee, that you become an employer.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with being an employee either.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if anybody asks about pathway, I would recommend, go and work for some places.
Yes.
But just know that you might not be working there forever and ever. Amen. I remember there was a time where people used to say, boy, Zachary, well, you can't keep a job. I don't even know where you work, You used to work at so and so, and you were at Red Stripe, and you're at Syncom before that, you're an advertiser. But what they didn't realize or see is that every time I moved, I was doubling my salary. So it was a deliberate move on my part to try and expose myself, learn more. Once I get to that point, though, of like, okay, I think I kind of max this out. I'm at a decent level. I want to challenge myself and get to the next level. That's why I kept pushing myself to go in different directions.
Yeah.
And then I left Jamaica, commuted back and forth. I was in the States for about 4 years. And that's where I really got deep into the private equity world and worked on a number of transactions up there. And again, I'm a ground up learn type of guy. And that's where that part of the journey in finance started.
Yeah. Currently, you serve you're in sports and entertainment on some big committees, part of the PSOJ's committee, and you also work with the Entertainment Linkages Network under the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment. You're a man that you're on the move. You just mentioned a while ago that your friends are saying to you, Zachary, you never stop moving. Why is it important for you to always be on the move, to always be upping the move, to constantly be learning different industries as you grow? I mean, I can mention, for instance, the fact that you're a part of Sprinter. You're a part of that team as well to make sure that that movie came out. You seem to be touching all different areas, and they do sometimes connect and sometimes they don't. Like, I can think about the investment portfolio you have. Maybe they don't connect so much with the creativity, but then film, music, entertainment, all of those connect.
How old are you?
I'm in my 40s. I'm in late 40s.
Late 40s. So, God's willing, you'll either live for another, 10 minutes or maybe another 10 years
or 20.
30 years.
Yes.
Right? But we have a limited time here. So, a lot of times we don't think about a timeline.
Yeah.
I'm just here forever. I just come to work, I just show up, I just do my thing, I just go out on the weekend, just, play ball with my brethren, and life goes on until one day, here's a Johnny drop out, Yo, Johnny star. So, we're all here for a limited time. I want to do as much as I can with the limited time that I have. And I also won't have the energy to do it when I'm 80 years old. So I'm going to do it when I have the energy. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to expose myself to as much as I can. And I want to be in a position to help people and to participate and contribute as best as I can. So it's just continuous learning for me all.
Massive conversation we're having with Zachary Harding today. Hope you guys are here. I told you to have your pen and your paper out so you can take some notes. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. This is the Two Live Crew.
This is 94.5 FM.
Batman, she love. Batman, she love. Yeah. Batman, she love. Yeah. Let's just talk about the girls now. What do you want? The double B. Caramel himself in person. It's my person. Hey, over me. Out on road, enough gal a mad over me. Out on road, enough gal a dead over me. Out on road, enough gal a cry over me. Lad, me baby mother say me bad, me too 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 bad. How much gal alone me alone want have? Make sure you put the same thing in a bank. Would you sweet and would you need and would you know how to do it? Never do a job and left it incomplete. Put you on time there, your girl spread out like shit. Vital is vital, so I full it.
Listening to the mix courtesy of Zachary Harding, the man behind the wheels of steel. This one, folks, and listen, he's gonna be playing at another session. One says, let's close the month with a bang. September 27, he's gonna be at the Cassette Club. The Cassette Club presents the Crown Collection, celebrating the hits from the kings and queens of their genres. No, Zachary, I go out yourself, man. Big things are going for this one. Right? So you're going to be playing alongside some top DJs. I see DJ Sanjay is going to be there.
Yeah, man. Just
Sounds
me and
like
Sanjay.
it's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, man. It's a good vibe. Anytime me and Sanjay link up, it's just
Sanjay, a good youth, you know.
really, really one of my
Good youth.
favorite DJs, man.
Yes, and of course, congrats to him too. One graduate from law school too.
Yeah, man.
So big up Sanjay every time. He was, of course, once part of the family, always part of the family here at RJR Communications Group. Zachary, so many things to talk about, so little time, but I want to mention something that I read about you, and you are, of course, one of the first Jamaicans I saw associated with TEDx, and you introduced your careful decision-making model. Tell me about that model. How does that framework guide you in business and also in life?
With the help of Janelle Brown, we decided that we needed to codify a system of decision making. So a part of what beats most of us is making the right decisions in life. I have two daughters, Tori and Zara, and I've always said to them, if you want to be successful in life, the solution is very simple. Just make better decisions more often. That's it.
That's it.
But then the question now is, well, how do I make better decisions? What goes into that? So we decided to try and make a bit of a formula and came up with this CAREFUL, which is an acronym, decision-making formula. So that is C, which stands for crossroads. There always is a decision point where you have to make a choice, go left and right, forward, etc. Then there's A, which is authenticity. You should always show up with your real, true, authentic self. Don't try to pretend to be somebody else. What would Johnny do? Why, but that's what I'm going to do. No. Do what you feel is the right thing to do. The R is for risk. And oftentimes when we're making decisions, we think of risk as a downside. What could go wrong? And we get afraid. And instead of looking at what could go wrong, we remix the risk to think about what could go right. Then once you decide on what could go right, you're ready to make a decision. You're going to bring your true authentic self to the table. Then you put the right emotion, that's the care behind it, and that will lead to a more fulfilling outcome.
Sounds like a great formula for us to adopt and for people to just kind of learn. You also co-founded Quantum Power Skills, and learning that they recently secured a contract with over 100 historical black colleges and universities in the U.S. How did that partnership come about, and what does it actually mean? Right.
So Sayini Chang was the originator. We've known each other for years, 10 years. She's a professional trainer. That's what she does for a living. And we collaborated and said, we want to expand the training to executive training, corporate training, and also to even universities and colleges, because the thing that I want to be focused a lot, Johnny, especially in my older days, is leadership. Right? I think that the world generally and Jamaica is lacking a certain level of leadership. And if there's something that can be done for us all to be better leaders, I think that the outcome would speak for itself. So this is a leadership training course that we have co-created, and that is being marketed to over 100 HBCUs. And it is about empowering people with the skills that they need to make better decisions, develop better strategy, show up with themselves properly at work, have better emotional intelligence, which is one of the courses that I really like and I really focus on. And if we can roll that out, then I think that more people will be able to have the tools necessary to guide them to become better leaders.
Absolutely. How can we help to fashion some of these courses and to apply them here in Jamaica, Zachary? Because I know you're passionate about Jamaica and Jamaican culture. All your work, your entire portfolio, your life, it mirrors that. So what can we do here? There's so much to be done here. When you mention leadership to me, my mind automatically went to Jamaica, because we certainly have a leadership issue in Jamaica in many areas. And if we can get our leaders to start focusing on real, true decisions that will change how our people, the perception of the people, how we see ourselves, then I think that will improve a lot into our standing, not just here locally, but internationally as well.
It's all about leadership. Right? We have a misnomer where we see leadership as bosses. Being a boss does not make you a leader. And so what we want to do is to try and train people to what does it take to lead other people. Right? And that starts with a certain level of emotional intelligence, a certain level of empathy, a certain level of self-awareness, and then the ability to understand other people, meet them where they're at. How I would interact with you and we solve a problem together might be different from somebody else because maybe your thought process is different.
Yes.
And so recognizing that people are different and that it requires different approaches to get the best out of people. That is really what leadership is for me, maximizing Johnny's potential.
And you've been in the boardrooms. You've been at the top of these companies. You've interacted with so many leaders, trying to show them, I guess, different ways that they can approach leadership. What you constantly learn from these rooms as well. What can you give us? What can you say to us? One of the things I remember Barack Obama saying in an interview was that, you revere all these leaders and oh my, they're so bright and intelligent until you get in the room.
Yeah.
And then you recognize that maybe they're not so much more intelligent than I am. You know what I mean? I'm in the room and, I'm here. Yeah. I'm not just taking up space. I'm here because of a reason. What can you share with us about how we should view our own selves and what we bring to the table when it comes to an organization or something we want to do for ourselves?
True leadership starts with listening. We have to become better listeners. In Jamaica, we're great talkers. Everybody is the greatest talker. And then people feel that talking the loudest is the best way to command respect. Doesn't work that way. People don't respond that way. And so if we can shift and change that narrative in terms of what a real leader is, then we can then unlock the creativity of people because then they now have the confidence that my voice matters. I can participate and I don't have to then try to be the next loudest guy in the room just to command some respect. So that's one of the things that I've learned. I've had a lot of really great bosses, a lot of really, good leaders that I've looked up to, and I've taken bits and pieces and fashioned and modeled and realized that empathy piece and that ability to read people and understand what is the emotion that's driving the behavior is fundamental to be able to get people to work well in teams and to unlock and unleash their full potential.
Zachary, a busy man, but I tell you, this interview is one for the books. You've been named one of Jamaica's top 50 under 50 by the PSOJ, and not recently, I must tell you, but coming over Jeremy, I said, it's not a young left, I think it was back in 2012. Looking back at that, Zachary.
It's okay, my parents call me Jeremy.
They mix up like me, right? Zachary's with me, guys. Looking back at that time, top person, top 50 under 50 by the PSOJ. That was a good recognition. But when you look back and looking at Jamaica's trajectory, probably don't have enough time to answer this question. Where do you see us going?
I think Jamaica is on a great path right now. I see that there is a change in our politics. I see that there is a change in our behavior. We had an election that just took place where you saw orange and green mixed up in the streets dancing.
Very true.
There was no violence.
This is 94.5 FM.
Jamaica Plumbing Supplies stocks everything for the bathroom, kitchen, commercial fittings. Visit 56 Malines Road, Kingston, and 62 Congreve Park, Nagohead, Portmore. The time by Jamaica Plumbing Supplies is 3:30.